Reseller party people, it's Billy back with you from Rock Candy Reseller. What am I doing filming on a Tuesday? What? I don't know. But anyway, I've got some sales I want to go through with you and show you how I do some packaging. And I think we'll even take a little drive to the post office. So stick around. We'll be back in 2 and 2. First thing I sold is, this is actually kind of leftover stock from when we had the record store, and I just listed these maybe a couple weeks ago. Little 1-inch AC/DC pins. Hopefully you can see this without too much glare. And basically we had hundreds. I think I have another bag over there somewhere. We had hundreds of these pins. You know, that we just had up by the cash register for people to grab. So I just found those bags of pins, so I'm just kind of throwing them up there. Not high profit margin. Those 2 pins sold for, I think, $6. All right, sold another set of acoustic guitar strings, Dean Markley. And you already know the story with these. I sell one of these every day or two, it seems like. Every once in a while somebody will grab a couple, but again, this person just wants one, so I'll be getting that shipped out. And in one of the videos, I think from about a week ago, I showed some t-shirts I grabbed from a local Goodwill, and this was one of them. New York Mets t-shirt, kind of a vintage design. It's not a vintage tee, just kind of a vintage design, and that sold for $9. And can't remember exactly. I think I got it somewhere, you know, for like $1.50, something like that. So like I said, sold for $9, and it's heading out the door. And then more old stock from the store. I found, as I've been trying to list more and get the store cranking, I'm going through stuff that's been boxed up since we closed the store, and I found a huge box of band t-shirts that we had for sale at the store. Some were displayed for sale, some were still in boxes brand new. This was one that we did have out on the floor for sale, and this is a Deftones tour shirt. Really cool, going out the door for $12.50 free shipping. And as I keep going through them, I'm going to be throwing more shirts like this up on the store. So if this kind of stuff interests you, subscribe to the channel, keep an eye on my eBay store, and hopefully I'll be listing something that you dig. And sold another CD today. This is the Legendary Ministry with Dark Side of the Spoon. And the CD is going out the door for $6.50. First album going out today is, this is a part of the new vinyl restocks that I showed you, I think, over the weekend. I think I just listed this on Saturday or Sunday. This is a limited edition clear smoke press of MOTLEY CRUE's Too Fast for Love album, and I think this is limited to 1,500. I think that's what I read from my distributor. So this is going out the door for, hold please, $32.50. So some happy customer out there. It's on its way. And next album is the 40th anniversary edition, 180 gram double LP Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti. Again, I just listed this maybe a week ago. This is also new restock vinyl, sealed reissue, die cut sleeve, super cool. I mean, you can't beat Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti, and this one is going out the door for $38.50. And I can hear your questions out there. I can hear it. I'm tapped into the universe. how does he package all that stuff that he sells in that little office that he films in? He can't possibly do it. Well, yes, I do, and I'll show you how. All right, so one of the first things you need to learn to do well when you're a reseller working from home and you're still too small to get a big warehouse, or you don't own enough property to install a shed, and you live on the West Coast in Southern California where no houses are built with basements. So what do? Well, you use a spare bedroom and you use that as your eBay room, and you store all your stuff, and stuff that won't fit in here you store in your garage. And maybe if you're big time enough, you rent out a storage unit that you keep your spare stock in, or whatever. But I use everything I'm selling. Thankfully, I've had a storage unit before, and thankfully, I was able to sell enough of my stuff to where now I've consolidated it all into my house. So, but I digress. How do I package everything up in this small space? You need to learn how to make good use of your space. So I have a three-drawer lateral file cabinet that I use to store shipping supplies in. And then the other drawers are used to store items. This bottom drawer is filled with CDs that are listed. I have about 300 CDs in there, alphabetical, in that bottom drawer. This next drawer is filled with books and DVDs that are listed, all alphabetized, set up real nice. And then I use the top of this file cabinet as my workspace. Is it small? Is it kind of a pain to use? Yeah, sometimes. But it gets the job done. And I don't have a lot of space to work with, so I just make do. So now I will show you how I package things up. This one I just finished. I will block out their name so you can't see. This is the Deftones t-shirt that I just sold today. This is Tuesday, by the way. And so this one is already packaged up and ready to go, but I'll show you how I package up t-shirts and all the other stuff I do. Okay, so the next t-shirt that I have to ship out, I recommend, if you sell a lot of clothing, I recommend buying these clear resealable bags. We had the store, we had some plastic, I think they were blue. We had blue and red, these plastic shopping bags that we used in the store, obviously to put the items in that the customers bought and hand it to them, let them carry it out. So I've been using those, but now that I'm selling more clothing, it just makes it easier to see what the item is through a clear bag, as opposed to a colored bag that you have to open or kind of squint to see through to make sure you got the right item. So if you sell a lot of clothing, especially smaller pieces of clothing, I recommend getting these clear resealable poly bags. You can find them on eBay. That's where I bought mine. I forget, they weren't very expensive. 10 cents a piece if you buy them in bulk, which I did. I bought hundreds of them. So, and not to mention, it makes it super easy to store. I mean, you just fold them up real nice, put them in these bags, and then I keep all my clothing in tubs. So you can fit, tons. I've got all the pieces of clothing I have on my store right now fit in one tub, and it's not even full. So there you go. So that's how I store them. To ship something out like this resealable bag is not 100% airtight. It's got breathable holes in there, but it's good enough. And then I just throw it in a padded envelope. And these are the 8.5 by 11 padded envelopes. So they're plenty big enough for any kind of normal articles of clothing, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, that kind of thing. Anything like jeans, when I sell jeans or jackets or anything like that, especially jeans, I build in the cost priority mail because they're too heavy. They won't be able to ship first class, whereas t-shirts, dress shirts, things like that, those will be able to ship first class. So bubble mailer is fine. Jeans I ship usually in a priority mail flat rate envelope. And I build that priority mail cost into the purchase price. So I have my little scale. This little scale weighs stuff up to 3 pounds. Then behind the camera, I have another little metal rack that I have a larger scale on that weighs, I don't know, over 100 pounds. So I use that for any larger boxes. I have that scale set up right back there. But anyway, so this t-shirt weighs exactly 6 ounces. Am I going to ship it out for 6 ounces? No, because once I put the label on and tape, it's going to probably go like 6.1, something like that. So this will be shipping out at a 7-ounce rate, first class. Okay. So you saw packaging up t-shirts and things like that, super easy. How do I package up CDs? I take a standard sheet of bubble wrap and I cut it in half. I lay the CD in there, fold it up. And just kind of wrap it around the CD. Now, I always keep scraps of cardboard because you're always cutting, when you're in this business, you're always cutting down boxes, things like that. You're getting shipments in big boxes that you're never going to use. So I always cut them down and I use those as extra support when I ship things out. And because I know I ship a lot of CDs out, I cut them into strips. So what I do with the CD, so I basically make a little cardboard wallet is what I like to call it. And I just use a pair of scissors, score it to the width of the CD so it folds in on it real nice. I have seen, if anybody's ever bought CDs off eBay, some of the ways that people ship is just amazing. Like, I've gotten CDs where they're not even thrown in a padded envelope. They're thrown in like a manila envelope, CD in a jewel case. And somehow it gets to me and it doesn't break for them. But I guarantee you, if I ever tried to do that, the CD would smash in half. Guaranteed. So anyway, because CDs can ship media mail, there's no reason to ever skimp on packaging. There's just not. If you're shipping a CD, I've seen people out there on eBay, you see them all over the place, where they just sell a CD, but it's the disc only because they don't want to include any of the packaging. And I'm assuming they just throw the disc in like a white envelope and maybe throw a stamp on it. I don't know, pretty scary, but good luck with that. So anyway, because you're shipping the CD in a jewel case, you have, with media mail, you have from 0 ounces to a pound, and it's all the same price. If it's media mail, if it's 3 ounces, if it's 16 ounces, it's all gonna be, they just raised the rates. So I think it's $288, something like that, $284. And it's all the same price, so it doesn't matter. So package it up good. Make sure the case doesn't crack in shipment. Make sure that it doesn't get broken in half. So, so like I showed you, I wrap the CD in bubble wrap. I surround it with cardboard. And then I throw it inside of a bubble mailer. And I hear you. You're saying, okay, t-shirts, CDs, that's easy. How do you package up your new vinyl? How do you do that? That's easy too. You just have to make sure, and this is another lesson if you're new out there and you're starting to sell things, whatever it is you sell, make sure you have the proper packing supplies. In my opinion, that's something you don't really want to skimp on. If you're going to sell a lot of records, make sure you purchase these LP mailers. There's different kinds out there. You can go big time. I've never even looked at the prices of them, but they have all kinds of fancy mailers that have extra overhang cardboard and things like that, that for the average reseller and average buyer, it's totally unnecessary. Your standard LP mailer will protect your records no problem. So again, you can find these LP mailers all over eBay, all over Amazon. They're everywhere. So if you're going to sell records, buy these. I think they work out to be like 45 cents a piece, something like that. And I think some places, if you buy in larger quantities, the price even comes down from there. So I usually buy them a couple hundred to 500 at a time. So I think my price is somewhere in there, like right around 40 cents a piece, something like that. So anyway, so you sold a new record or used record, whatever. Your LP mailer goes down. Anytime I sell new vinyl, I double up on cardboard inserts. This is another thing. You cannot just get the mailer and throw it in there and wrap it up. You cannot do that. It is going to get broken for sure. You cannot do that. So if this was used vinyl, the first thing I would throw down is a sheet of bubble wrap. But because it's new, I'm throwing in extra protection. These cardboard inserts are cut to size, and they're a little bit bigger than the size of the record. So for new vinyl, I throw one of those down first. I throw the record down. Then a sheet of bubble wrap. Then a sheet of bubble wrap. And then another piece of cardboard. With new vinyl especially, your customers want to get this in as close to mint condition as possible. They're buying a new record, they want to receive a new record. So these pieces of cardboard, like I said, they're a little bit bigger than the size of the record. So they're gonna protect the corners while they're in there. They're gonna protect both sides of it. And then if you've never seen the LP mailers, they're perforated. So they can actually hold, I think about 1 to 3 records, but they're perforated. So they fold in right to size. And there you go. So that's how I ship a new record. And then I always throw on one of these. Eventually I'll probably just print these out on stickers or something if I can find some cheap labels or something. But it reminds people of where they bought it. It has my store name and tells the post office that this is a fragile item. It's a phonograph record. So please be careful. Do they read it? I don't know. Hopefully, maybe somebody does. But I always throw one of these on there too, and then I will throw the shipping label here, and this one will be ready to go. Okay, so I was packaging that Led Zeppelin physical graffiti, and it turned out it was something else interesting I wanted to show you. Something that I do, just kind of a tip out there, an extra little thing you can do to protect your records. Now, the physical graffiti, the packaging, and it's a double LP, so it was a little bit thicker than a single LP, obviously. So, like I was saying with these LP mailers, they're perforated. So if it was only a single LP, it would fold at this perforation. But because it was thicker, it folded on the second set of perforations. So, it actually was a little too thin. So I added another sheet of bubble wrap in there to make it solid in there. And then also what I do when records are single, these corners are real strong. But when you go a little bit wider, it makes a real big target. So what I do, just as precaution, is I have just strips of chipboard that I keep anytime I get packaging or anything that has chipboard. I just cut it into strips and I keep it for this reason. So when these boxes fold up a little bit wider, and it leaves these corners, in my opinion, leaves these more vulnerable to get hit. Whereas here, it's less of a big target and they're a little tighter. So I'm not as worried about corners there. But when it's this wide, it's a bigger target for something to hit this corner and ding it on the album. So I always take these little strips of chipboard that I keep and then I cut them to size and kind of wrap the corners with chipboard, and it just gives them a lot more support, makes those corners strong, so that nothing will happen to this record. So again, it's not something that I do or I would even recommend doing on every record that's a single record, because I think the way the LP mailers are made, single records are fine. I think that's strong enough. But when you have to use a bigger box, you want to really support those corners when there's a big target there. And as I was packaging up that Led Zeppelin album, I sold a Pavement album. So I went ahead and packaged that up too. Another little tip that is invaluable, I don't know if I've said this before, but you want to make sure you always throw your items you're going to take to the post office in a bag. And if I've told the story before, I apologize. I'm going to tell it again. But there was one time I was shipping out some items. A couple of the items were CDs, so they were in smaller packages like this, and I just set them in my back seat. While I was driving, I guess I had to kind of hit the brakes kind of hard, and the packages kind of fell over in the back seat. One of the smaller packages that had a CD in it fell underneath my passenger seat, and I didn't even notice, and grabbed my packages, dropped them off at the mail. Didn't think anything about it until a couple weeks later when my customer said, "Hey, I never got my CD." Looked up the tracking. Post office said they never received it. So I didn't know what happened. I had no idea. So I refunded. I think I asked her, "Hey, let's give it a couple more days." And I kept an eye on the tracking, and the post office never showed a scan, anything. So I refunded her money because I didn't know what happened. And then I think it was 2 or 3 days after I refunded her, I found the package underneath my passenger seat. I just went ahead, I sent her a message and said, hey, I found it. I had already paid for the postage and everything. I put it back in the mail, sent her a message and said, hey, I totally apologize. I totally screwed up, and sent it to her for free. So, again, it was a CD. Would I do that with a $100 item? I don't know if I'm that nice, but it was a CD, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. So anyway, that's the lesson though. When you have all your stuff packed up, throw it in a bag so it keeps everything in there. And it's not a bad idea to keep a mental count in your head of how many items you sold and how many items you're taking to the post office. And then when you're handing them over at the post office, you can kind of mentally count them off, make sure everything makes it from your home to the post office and to your customers. So just a little tip there for you. All right, so I have all my stuff packed up. My postman, I've never done the situation where you call the post office or where you set up where they come pick it up from you. I've never done that. I kind of don't trust it. I don't know. I know my postman, so I don't know if it's the same guy or they sent a special pickup person to come grab your packages. I don't know. But my postman, sometimes he's there at 4, sometimes he's there like at 5:30. So I don't really trust it. Maybe somebody can leave me a comment down below and let me know, is it your same normal postman that picks your stuff up, or is it somebody else? Because I don't know. So I've never trusted it. Actually, everywhere I've lived, the postman is kind of unpredictable, and they come later in the afternoon. Didn't it used to be like the postman would come like around noon or 1 every day? I don't know. I guess it depends on where your neighborhood is on their route. But anyway, it seems like I've always had a postman that makes the deliveries late in the afternoon. And like I said, the one I have now comes somewhere between like 4 and 6 p.m. So I don't even want to mess with it. So I always take my packages. I always will do kind of my household chores and that kind of thing in the morning, having my coffee and that kind of thing. Then I'll try and get some listing done in the morning, and then I'll start packaging up my sales. Usually like between 11, 12 o'clock, something like that. I like to try and be to the post office around 2:30, something like that. I don't know if it still is. I think Priority Mail used to have a cutoff like around 2:30. I don't know if it's still that way. But mentally, I just like to try and get all my shipments to the post office somewhere between 2 o'clock, 2:30, or earlier if I can. Like if I don't have very much stuff to ship out, I'll just, get everything wrapped up and then just go run it over there around noon or something like that. But I don't like packaging up first thing in the morning, because if I can, just kind of as a customer service thing, any sales that are made like in the morning, I'll wrap those up too and get those in the mail same day. So I just kind of like to leave that out there I don't put it on any of my listings that I ship same day or anything like that. But just as kind of an added customer service bonus, if somebody gets lucky enough and buys something from me and I haven't taken my shipments, chances are pretty good I'll just quick wrap it up. Just like what just happened right now, where somebody, it's about 1 o'clock, 1:30, and somebody bought a record. They got lucky because I hadn't gone to the post office yet. So I went ahead and packaged that up real quick. And so they'll get same day shipment. It's going media mail, so it's only they might get it in 5 days instead of 6 or something like that, or 4 days instead of 5, but it's not like they're going to get it next day. But they just get that little extra service boost, So I like to leave that open. And like I said, try and take my shipments around you know, somewhere between noon and 2 o'clock is usually when I'll head out. And I'm lucky, my post office is about, I think if you saw, I think it was my second or third video, I will occasionally walk/jog, more walking than jogging, but I'll jog to my post office and drop off shipments. So I think it's somewhere between 3 and 4 miles one way. So it literally takes me, you know, 10 minutes to, you know, drop my shipments off. So I'm lucky in that way, where I live real close. And yeah, come to think of that too, I mean, that's another reason why I never did the post office pickup, because I've always kind of lived pretty close to a post office. So I don't know, pretty lucky that way. So anyway, like I said, on my way to the post office, taking my shipments right now. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably go back home, get some lunch, and then list some things and see where the day takes me. So that'll probably do it for this video. Obviously, I'm gonna have to work on this video and get this uploaded, so hopefully that doesn't take too long. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hopefully what I showed you is interesting. Hopefully you guys, I mean, hey, some of the records I've been selling lately have been pretty cool. So if you're a fan of music, you're a fan of vinyl records, hopefully it's been some cool stuff to see. Some of the stuff I've gotten at Goodwill recently that's been selling is pretty cool. So I hope it's stuff you guys have enjoyed watching. Showing you how I package up things. Hopefully that's interesting. And maybe you can learn something from that. And again, make use of your space. If you have a small space, don't let it scare you off from doing eBay. You just need to find the best ways to work within the space that you have. And like I keep saying in the videos, I mean, the important thing is to get started, to do it. So so there you go. Thanks for watching. We will wrap this up, and I will see you on the flip side.